Good day, and thank you for joining us. I am Trish Lewis, the Program Director for Faces of Women Imprisoned. We are an organization developed for and by women and girls impacted by incarceration. We will talk more about that in just a moment. But before we get started, I'd like to do a quick breathing exercise. I want us to take a brief pause for us all to be in the moment with our full selves. Many times we're physically somewhere, but our minds are in a million different places, and we often miss the opportunity to have a full experience in the moment. This breathing exercise also allows oxygen into your brain and your bloodstream for better brain function and health. It also gives way for us all to be on one accord and one vibrational frequency. Are you ready? Let's breathe. It's a 3-count breath. You inhale for 3 seconds, you hold it for 3 seconds, and you exhale for 3 seconds. Are you ready? Let's breathe. Inhale, hold it, exhale. Again, inhale. Inhale love, stillness, peace. Hold it. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Beautiful. We're honored that you joined us today in celebration of our 2021 cohort. For the past 6 months, our ladies participated in a deep dive into mental health, behavioral health, emotional intelligence, confidence building, digital literacy, financial literacy, wealth building, and public speaking. An added benefit of being a part of our program is being in our forever family as you join the alumni program upon graduation. This opens up access to a profile on our Global Speakers Bureau platform where you can book paid speaking engagements from opportunities from all over the world. It is our mission by the end of this program that each participant will walk away with a deeper sense of self and all the tools necessary to be their best selves in their personal and professional lives. This program is possible by all of you, our supporters, our sponsors, our partners, Foundation Chanel, Arnold Ventures, Third Point, Ford Foundation, Art of Justice Fund, Veterans of Virtue, and the National Football League. Massive thank yous to you all. Now, please keep in mind, we are live, right? So be patient with us during any technical difficulties or bloopers. It just comes with the territory, but I promise you we will get through this together. Today you will be hearing from each of the women in our graduate class. These women are beautiful, resilient, and it was my honor to have taken them through this journey. They have been through tremendous feats and continue to show their tenacity each day, and that makes me so excited about their future. We are also excited about the growth of this program and expansion to reach and do more. We are currently accepting applications for our veteran cohort. Did you know that every 65 minutes, a military service member commits suicide? And according to military.com, deaths by suicide jumped 25% since December of 2020. This is why what we're doing is so important, and the LOAM is doing so important. And in partnership with Veterans of Virtue, we will work together to not only reduce recidivism and decrease suicide, but heal our communities of generational nuances that has been holding us back for entirely too long. If you or someone you know has been in the service or incarceration and can benefit from what we offer, log on to theloam.org and apply for the Speakers Bureau Veterans Cohort. And for more information on how you can help a veteran through PTSD, log on to vetsofvirtue.com. Now, all the women you'll hear after me are powerful and amazing in their own right, and I am excited for you to hear from each of them. A special thank you to Starling, Kate, Tanya, Whitney, Lisa, Chris, of course, Topeka, and the LOAM staff. So without further ado, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy.
Good day, everyone. Good day, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I am Topeka K. Sam, founder and executive director of the Ladies of Hope Ministries. Our vision is epic to end poverty and incarceration for women and girls globally. And today, I am incredibly proud, honored, and excited for this second cohort of graduates that we have for the Faces of Women Imprisoned program. This program was birthed, as so was the Ladies of Hope Ministries, while I was incarcerated. Just one night, God came to me and said I needed to build platforms for women to be able to use their voice in order to change policy, and for people to really understand what was happening to women all over the world while through post incarceration. And so, thanks you to Trish, who is incredible. I'm so proud. I actually am tearing up, Trish, because I've seen even such growth in you leading this program and the level of confidence and things that it actually brings. And I'm grateful because it is you every single week through 50 women so to date that have gotten these sisters really prepared to using their voices and really using the platform of Speakers Hub in order to be able to negotiate the type of contracts that they would like in order to have a new career in public speaking. See, so often we are asked to use our voice to share all of the traumatic experiences that we've had in our lives, and yet we're not compensated. We are devalued, and women are always the last person to get any type of acknowledgement for anything that they do. And so what we realize is that our stories are valuable. Our experiences are valuable, and we are the experts in how we are going to change the trajectory of what's happening in women and girls in this country through poverty and incarceration. And so it is essential that while these sisters have taken their time, completed this program in the middle of a pandemic, which was incredibly difficult because of the many losses, whether it was, and the grief, whether it was family members that passed, jobs that were lost, children that were home from school and did not have any way to do health care, child care, or any of the many things that we all have gone through over this last year. The fact that they have completed this program and are here today during graduation, one, talks about the resilience, the courage, and the need to really define their lives. And so I am incredibly proud of each of you. Christy, Sherry, Eveline, Naquasia, Cass, Lily, Gabrielle, Whitney, Kimberly, and Zaria, Dr. Zaria Davis. Thank you all so much for trusting the Ladies of Hope Ministries, for trusting Patricia, for trusting each and every one of us. And I see a lot of our alumni cohort on here. Shout out to Ayana and Wendy. And I'm sorry I can't see everyone's name, but I am just so proud to be able to have supported a fierce group of sisters that are able to come out here and share their experiences with the world so we can change things for the sisters that we left behind. And so while Trish, you did an incredible job thanking all of our sponsors, I'd like to also thank our board for the Ladies of Hope Ministries for the consistent support of not only myself and my leadership, but that of the program directors and the vision that we have for this organization. I also like to thank GTL once again, who has been a huge support to the Ladies of Hope Ministry. Shout out to Delson for not only supporting this graduation, but for the graduation next year and for the veterans cohort as well. Unlikely partners or unlikely bedfellows is what we call, is so critical in beginning to get our messages out and beginning to change and open new pathways for sisters all over the world. And so without further ado, we are going to open up in a prayer by Chaplain Nakia Brown. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies. Heavenly Father, we would like to thank you. Thank you for bringing us together to this day on such a wonderful day, oh God. We thank you for everything that you're doing in our lives. Today, I would like to lift up every lady who went through the program, every lady who has reached out to you, oh God, and pulled you into their lives. I just ask you to bless them in a mighty way today, oh God. I want you to remind them, oh God, how you made them fearfully and wonderfully, oh God, how you reached out into their darkness and pulled them into your marvelous light. So I thank you today, oh God, and I thank you on behalf of each and every one of the ladies, oh God. I ask you, oh God, to touch them, oh God, to put your word into them, oh God, to pour into them, oh God, as they have come into a new person, oh God. You have wiped away the old person and brought them into a newness, oh God, a newness that they could have only done with you, oh God. Today I lift up the founder of LOMH, Miss Topeka Sams. I lift up Patricia today, oh God, for doing such a wonderful work, oh God, for stepping into their purpose, oh God, for stepping into what you have willed for them in their life, oh God. And I thank you for, oh God, for making them bold and confident and for them reaching back and pulling up your people today, oh God. I just ask you today just to do wonderful, wonderful, marvelous works in their lives, oh God. I thank you for every person who has anything to do with today, oh God, every sister, every brother who has come together to uplift your people, oh God. I thank you today, oh God. I thank you for this opportunity. And I want you, oh God, to know that we love you, oh God. And we thank you and we invite you into this ceremony today. We invite you in, oh God, to be amongst us today. We thank you, Lord. We love you, oh God, and we praise you. And I ask you once again, oh God, to continue to bless each and every one of the sisters today who went through this vigorous program, and ask you to keep going before them and preparing their way, making every crooked place straight and every rough place knowing with you that all things are possible, that there are no impossibilities with you, oh God. So protect them, provide them, and guide for them. In the name of Jesus, I thank you. Amen.
There's a hero when you look inside your heart. You don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer when you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the world alone. No one reaches out ahead for you to hold. You can find love when you search within yourself, and that emptiness you found will disappear. And then the hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. Lord knows dreams are hard to find. finally see the truth, that evil lies in you. And that evil lies in you. That evil lies in you.
Wow, that was beautiful. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, the Ladies of Hope Ministries, Topeka Sam, Trish Lewis, our supporters, our sponsors, and my amazing cohort. I'm emotional. My name is Christy Lashover. There's something magnificent about getting on an airplane and heading to a new destination. I love the force of the plane, climbing and looking out the window as the landscape grows. 2013 and 2017, my air travel was different though. I traveled with no luggage, shackled, and only the clothes on my back. Con Air is a real thing. In February of 2017, I sat down next to a gentleman on an airplane after I had my first meal as a free person. I love flying, and besides the previous 4 flights on Con Air, this was a special flight. A first-time felon who left many women behind in a horrific maximum security prison. My goal was to be transparent and filled with unshakable integrity. So when the man sitting next to me on the plane asked what I had been doing in Texas, if I had been there for business or pleasure, it stopped me in my tracks. How do I tell him that I spent the last 1,500 days wardrobe styling business to addiction, that I was my narcotic officer husband who swore I had nothing to do with selling drugs to a priest in Connecticut? I wasn't going to tell anybody that I had been in prison. I saw no benefit for disclosure. So I just smiled. Little by little, though, in safe environments, I spoke about my incarceration. And you know what? The shame began to melt. Deep friendships began to form. And I found myself becoming a leader. Last year, I graduated from college with a high school honors. And everyone in my cohort knew I led an advocacy group to written to remove the criminal history box on all college applications in Oregon, and that bill passed last month. Everywhere I turned, I found a way to use my horrific experience to disintegrate shame and surprisingly bridge communities. The Faces of Women Imprisoned Speakers Bureau has been monumental in supporting my voice and equipping me with tools to speak confidently with authority about my experience of incarceration. Courage into my story of a transformed life was made easier while I walked alongside a cohort of amazing women who have also been affected by incarceration. So I wonder, do you talk about your shameful experiences, or do you let your perceived failures keep you small and hidden? What are you holding back? What's that one thing that you've experienced that sets you apart and could catapult you into your greatness? Transparency is my superpower. Today, I'm Community Resource Director for a nonprofit. Because of addiction, I'm on a planning committee for a governor-appointed project called Redeeming Scholars that helps people coming out of prisons and jails go back to college or trade schools. I also have a passion project called the Freedom Exchange. My co-host, whose father was incarcerated, and I have biweekly conversations with extraordinary people who have done a lot of time and are now out doing a great work. Our goal is to squash stigma, highlight the humanity, not the mistake of each person. Speakers Bureau. The work I've been doing on myself and my various professional adventures I've gathered, my ultimate goal is to speak. I want to speak to audiences. I want to encourage them to share their truth and to surround themselves with people who are on that same transparent journey. I want to use my experience to shed light while at the same time help people break free from their own prison. I want to encourage people to rise above the worst day of their life and move towards their absolute best day ever. Deepak Chopra says, there is a light within each of us that can never be diminished or extinguished. It can only be obscured by forgetting who we are. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending this graduation. In the last year, I have grown in two ways. I have learned that my potential for success is infinite. I have learned to overcome my fears of public speaking. This program has helped me realize that I have so much wisdom and experience to share with the world. I have been very unsatisfied with my job for many years, but relied on the income in order to survive. I allow myself to think that as a formerly incarcerated, veteran Black woman, as well as a doctor, that I should be satisfied with a good job, even though it has brought me stress as well as anxiety. However, being a part of this program has shown me I can use my experiences, both good and bad, to change my circumstances and make money while doing so. I am so excited to step out in faith and speak to men and women about my life and who I am today. I plan to bridge my professional life with my personal life by embracing my experiences and becoming a full-time public speaker. My nonprofit organization, Road to Egyptians, is about creating a path to successful reintegration for men and women reentering society after incarceration and military service. I will use my voice and my words to encourage and uplift people from all walks of life who are struggling with finding their place in society. I will show them that there is life after struggle and how to navigate obstacles that may arise. Doing this will allow me to work in a field that I am passionate about and make money to support myself. I look forward to living my best life as an entrepreneur and a public speaker, but most importantly, I am excited to take everything that I have learned in this program and change my life and others that I will work with. Today, I am celebrating another milestone in my life, which is graduating from Faces of Women Imprisoned. Thank you all for attending.
Good morning, all. I would first like to start off with a scripture from the Bible. From Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that readeth it. On August 30th, 1989, at 11 p.m., I landed in Washington, D.C. Dulles Airport. Two men approached me and introduced themselves as federal DEA agents and asked me, was I carrying drugs? I was young and afraid and admit that I was carrying drugs and turned them over. I could feel the weight of what I'd done and the consequences that was coming. It was going to be crucial. I was 18 years old. I knew it was over for me. I was the first person in my family to ever be arrested. And the weight of knowing that alone was mind boggling. I was taken to Alexandria, Virginia County Jail, where I was stripped of everything. I no longer would have dignity and pride. I was told to take off all my clothes and bend and cough, and was given used garments to put on. I couldn't even keep my own panties and bra. I was told, due to the underwire and the shoestrings, I can use them to harm others. This wasn't what I wanted or how I planned to spend my life. They gave me my personal hygiene item in a small Ziploc bag, which consists of a small black comb with a toothpaste and toothbrush. Oh, and don't forget the gray wool blanket with the white sheets that weren't so white. Once they processed me in the jail, a guard guided me to general population. To get to general population, he had to get permission from someone to unlock housing unit HA2. My handcuffs was removed, and I was in cell block 3. 4 months has passed. I was taken to Alderson, West Virginia camp, where I was told where I advocated for myself, where I had to advocate for myself. I wrote Congresswoman Maxine Waters, activist Sister Soldier, and I even did an article for the Village Voice newspaper. I was interviewed by CNN News for first-time nonviolent offenders. I spent 12 years and 7 months in prison. God doesn't place you where you don't belong. He place you where you can grow. The narrative of my story has changed. Going in, I wasn't sure what my purpose was. I had been home for 20 years. The Ladies of Hope Ministry allowed me to see my vision. Combined with my journey, today is a new day. I'm home and my vision is clearer. Thanks to Topeka Sams, Trish Lewis, Miss Payne, Miss Lisa Parker, Daniel, and a whole lot of other people that really helped me. The Ladies of Hope Ministry allowed me to feel liberated on all levels. I needed that reinforcement. Everything from educational opportunities, personal development, and business ideas was offered, and they allowed me to reinvent myself. Women coming home need this advantage. Please continue this work. It is so crucial that formerly incarcerated women across the world have this advantage. Continue to fight this work, and I thank you for allowing me, on this amazing journey with amazing women of all walks of life. The impact the cohort is making history. I continue to tell my story to help encourage others and to always believe in yourself. No matter what, keep pushing through and believe in yourself. Turn your pain into your passion. God bless. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Naquasia Pollard. I am a Faces graduate. I'm also the executive director of Pure Legacy, which is a nonprofit organization that helps young women with their voices in their leadership and development. This is a very emotional day for me. I want to start off by thanking the Ladies of Hope Ministries for creating a haven of hope, and also the donors and partners that invested in our stories and our voices to make this all happen. I want everyone to take a journey with me. I want to provide a quote from a Pure Legacy intern. My goal for the next 60 days is to learn as much as I possibly can here at Pure Legacy. specifically improving group work habits, being heard in a group, and speaking out. Amira Lewis. I started with this quote because the intern reflects the Faces program. A space to be heard, a space to speak out, a space to be that allowed us to be butterflies. I went through this Faces program with a certain expectation. It helped me through several transformations throughout this cohort, professionally and personally. I had the trust in the ability to allow people and for their voices to move me and for me to move them. I developed my emotional intelligence as a leader. Through my voice, I found my life's purpose, which is to invest in a young woman's leadership, her positive self image, and most of all, her healing. I want to thank my 15 intern boss babies, that's what we call them, that are growing every day in our to become our future executive directors, our future entrepreneurs, and most of all, their leaders. I want to thank Trish and Topeka and my butterfly sisters for nurturing my voice and my roots as a formerly incarcerated woman that served 15 years of incarceration and pregnant, a mother, a student of life, a miscarriage survivor, a motivational speaker, and the executive director of Pure Legacy. Thank you.
Wow, I don't even know how to come back from that. Whew, excuse me. Good morning. I'm Cass Severe, a speaker of the Faces of Women Imprisoned Speakers Bureau with the Ladies of Hope Ministries, where I have learned to deepen and broaden conversation through public symposiums. I would like to first off start by thanking our founder, Topeka K. Sam, for providing an amazing opportunity, which has also become a journey of healing. Many thanks to our facilitator, Trish Lewis, for her guidance, leadership, mentorship, for creating a safe space for sisterhood to grow and nurture, for her empathy, love, support, and just being an all around accountability partner. And to our wonderful audience, sponsors, and supporters, you are all greatly appreciated. I am a 2016-2017 Beyond the Bars Fellow of Columbia University Center for Justice. I serve on the board of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. All of Us or None North Jersey chapter, Women Who Never Give Up Task Force, the New Jersey Justice Prison Watch, and also People's Organization for Progress. I know firsthand the difficulty and challenges people face after traumatic life experiences. I was 6 years old when I lost my voice. I remember it vividly. I was raised by a real life boogeyman, and it I became super fearful, and I didn't know my place in the world. It was dictated by someone else, and it was scary for me. Um, and I started to express myself in other ways, which I felt was only part of my survival, but which led me later on to send me to prison. Prison was a very harrowing experience where to this day I still can't talk about some of the things I suffered from prison. I am diagnosed with PTSD.
I do have bouts of depression sometimes and anxiety, all things that stem from trauma. Um, Life after prison for me was anything short from a cakewalk. Sure, I was happy to have gained my freedom back, but I also faced a host of challenges in order for me to assimilate back into society. One of the most widely known obstacles that I faced during my reentry process was stigma and scrutiny while trying to obtain gainful employment, housing discrimination. I faced a lot of roadblocks in areas like inadequate health care, public assistance, food insecurities, losing my right to vote, reunification with my child, even stuff like getting my driver's license restored. There are so many formerly incarcerated individuals who only wish to be given another chance, a chance to get a good education, a chance to make a sustainable living wage, hopes to have their voting rights restored, which I am pleased to add that in 2020, New Jersey legislator did pass the law to restore all formerly incarcerated individuals' voting rights, including people that are currently on probation and parole. So shout out to Jersey. But just a chance at learning new skills, a chance to just get a new shot at life. The road has been anything but easy. However, nothing in this world can take the place of persistence and determination. That is one of the key factors I learned from being a part of the Faces of Women Imprisoned. Also, learning that hardship often prepares an ordinary person for an extraordinary destiny beyond what you could ever imagine. Being an ex-felon carried so much stigma. It felt like I was being convicted for life. And as we all know, a conviction can feel like a metaphorical scarlet letter. When people see you, they see your conviction. Because many folks in America will never let you forget that you committed a crime. However, programs such as Faces of Women Imprisoned through Ladies of Hope Ministry is truly a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift in how formerly incarcerated people are treated. The Ladies of Hope Ministry has made the formerly incarcerated community visible to every facet of life. We have become frontliners, agents of change. Our voices are valid. We have been given the tools and the necessary training, space, access, equity, and becoming our best selves and show up for ourselves the way we intend to. The Ladies of Hope Ministries not only showed me how to rejuvenate my internal wellness, but the wellness of my own communities. Loam has motivated me to strengthen my call to action and demand that our taxpayers use their money wisely now to improve prison reentry and end mass incarceration, which is critically important. With all that being said, 20 years ago, my voice was taken from me, but I reclaimed it, and now only I own my voice. I use it as a tool to uplift others and wield it as a weapon against mass incarceration. I know that my voice is too valuable to be silenced, and I vow that it will never be again. And if I can leave you with one thing today, it is leadership is not about position, it's about action. This is what true action looks like. Thank you.
We are back. We are back. We are back. Oh my gosh. I am in tears. Christopher Michael wouldn't be happy because I'm blotting. I don't even have a blot. I'm using a napkin. But nonetheless, I am so, so proud of all of you sisters. It is so powerful. Your testimonies are powerful. Your growth is powerful. And I am just excited. I'm excited to know that the world has you in a way that's going to change so many things for our sisters that we left behind. And I am so honored and excited to introduce our commencement speaker, a dear friend of mine, the sister of mine, the love of my life in Harlem, in the world, let's say. And though she has a bio, and I'm going to read it because it's on paper and it's important, she's much more than even what this bio is saying. Bevy Smith is a television personality, businesswoman, and author. She's a host of Sirius XM's Bevelations on Radio Andy. Once a widely successful luxury fashion publishing exec, Bevy shifted her professional goals over a decade ago to pursue a life in front of the camera, and that's exactly where she needs to be. A pop culture aficionado and fashion expert. You have to check her shoes out and her fashions, as Chris would say. Bevy served as moderator of Bravo TV's Revolutionary Fashion Queens, which is my mom's favorite show, and was a former co-host on the nationally syndicated Page Six TV, which, by the way, it was Bevy Smith that actually broke news that I was the person that did the video and helped to facilitate the video behind the scenes with Mike.com that went viral, that had our sister Alice Marie Johnson come home. And again, using our voices, look at freeze each other and freeze ourselves. And so Bevy continues to be a part of the Wendy Williams show, Style Squad, and recently published her debut book, which every single Faces graduate has, and other sisters in our programs, Bevelations, Lessons from a Mother, Auntie, Bestie. So Bevy, again, is incredible. I am so happy that I can now share Bevy with our community in the way that I am privileged to be able to share Bevy to self. But just Bevy has supported me. I knew Bevy prior to my incarceration. And when I came home, Bevy was one of the people right there. And had Bevy known I was incarcerated, I know Bevy would have been there too. But just to show that she used her platform in order to continue to uplift the work that we do speaks volumes, because some people don't even want to touch this. But Bevy will share how this directly affects her life and her family and our community, and how it is critical that we share, but how we live in our most authentic selves. So welcome, Bevy Smith.
Oh, I'm here. I'm just typing. Hi, guys. Thank you so much, Topeka, for the lovely words. As you said before, I really do love you. And I love the Ladies of Hope Ministry. I love what you guys stand for, what you do, how you uplift women formerly incarcerated and currently incarcerated. As you know, I have family members, female family members who have been incarcerated. So I know how it tears apart a family. And earlier we were talking, I said, there but for the grace of God, go I, because oftentimes as Black women, we find ourselves in spaces and in situations where we don't have as much agency, or we don't feel that we have agency. And that's the reason why I really wrote this book, Bevelations, Lessons from a Mother, Auntie, Bestie, because I wanted to make sure that women understood that we do have agency, that we don't have to settle for less, and we don't have to give away our power. And so for the ladies who are graduating today, what I really wanted to do was do an exercise with you all. And I hope that you will join in with me virtually. I wish I was there with you. I wish we were all in a room together so we could do this. But I implore everyone to follow along with this exercise that I'm about to do, and I hope that you will get something out of it. So for me, I feel that oftentimes we give away our power, because we don't even know from where our power really springs. And I know for myself, I spent many years masquerading as a myriad of people. I had names like, MC Bev Ski. I was Big Bev from Uptown. So let me just tell you who MC Bev Ski was. MC Bev Ski was the hip hop girl in high school who would cut class only to go to a library. Okay. But I wouldn't tell people I was going to a library. I would act like I was like hanging out and doing other things. But I was like, no, I'm going to cut class. I'm going to go to a library and I'm going to read some books that I want to read that have nothing to do with like my school or whatever. But I was always a curious person, and I was always a ferocious reader, and I always wanted to seek knowledge. And so I was doing that, but I was hiding that. And I know so many women that are graduates of this program can relate to that. Because oftentimes, when we come from disadvantaged communities, being smart and nerdy is not seen as being cool. So, guess what? Oftentimes, we find ways to hide that. And we put on these different personas. So, my first persona I ever created was MC Bevsky, and that's high school. And then I get around college age and I start going into the workspace. And this is the time of like hip hop being incredibly, incredibly going mainstream. And I become Big Bev from Uptown. Now in my book I talk about hanging out with Puffy and Biggie and Tupac and everyone. And all these guys knew me as a hip hop hottie. I was, if Instagram had been back then, I would have been like one of the leading Instagram chicks. You know what I mean? And um, the entire time I was being Big Bet from Uptown, I was also going to NYU, and I was also a media director at an advertising agency. But guess what? I didn't let anyone know that because again, I had put on this shield, I put on this persona, and I was negating who I really was. And then, of course, I go on to a success in my career, and I become Beverly Smith, fashionista. And that's when I'm at Vibe Magazine, and I'm the fashion and beauty advertising director. And I'm doing incredibly well. But I'm still hiding behind this persona. And I'm hiding behind a persona. If you guys have ever seen the film Devil Wears Prada, and I am like, Miranda Priestley, and I am a holy terror in the workplace. But that was because I thought that was the role I had to play. I thought that I had to be a bitch in order to make it. So again, I had all of these personas that at first, initially, I felt like they were protecting me. But what it really turned out to be, they were hindering me. I was a bird trapped in a gilded cage. And then one day I realized how unhappy I was. And I realized that my life was not looking the way I wanted it to. Yes, I had a lot of stuff, I had a lot of access, but it wasn't going the way I wanted it to. And then I had to ask myself some really hard questions. And these are the questions that we're going to do together right now. So I want you to close your eyes just for a minute. Try and be in a clear space. Try and like ignore everything around you and just go a little deep. And I'm going to ask you, who are you at your core? So I don't want to know about you as a romantic partner. I don't want to know about you as a mother. I don't want to know about you as a formerly incarcerated woman. I want to know about who you are at your core. And at your core, it's the person who you were before the world got to you. Before the world told you that your dreams were silly. Before the world told you, don't follow your passions. You can't do that. Before the world told you, you're too black, you're too old, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too hood, you're too bougie. Whatever it is that the world told you that made you put on a mask. I want you to go deep and remember who you were before the world got to you. And who I was before the world got to me was a nerdy, curious, adventurous, kind, and empathetic girl. And I put that girl to the side because Little Brown Bevy, that's who I am at my core, Little Brown Bevy. Little Brown Bevy she was not in service to the life that I thought I wanted. See, I thought I wanted to be the coolest chick. I thought I wanted to be on the scene. I thought I wanted to be that hot biatch, all of those things. And when I got to those spaces, and I was miserable. I realized I needed to take many steps back and I need to dig a little deeper. And I need to figure out who I left behind, who was most valuable. So are you guys following me on that? Are you guys following me on the fact that so many of us have left behind the beautiful little girls that we were before the world got to us, before we perhaps got into abusive relationships, before we perhaps became, got involved in drugs, before we had family members who forsake us or disappointed us. Who were we before all of those things happened? And that's who we are at our core. So let's dig into that. The next thing I want us to do is let's think about how we're being perceived. Now, we all know that there's something called the strong Black woman. And we often use that, we wear that on our sleeves as a badge of honor. But I'm here to tell you, that's not always the case. Because when you're a strong Black woman, you negate the fact that you are also a fragile, sensitive woman. And we need to let that person show up. So, how are you being perceived? Maybe your children think of you as a strict disciplinarian and someone who is like, because I know oftentimes when you're a mother, you don't want your kids to go down the same path that you have. You don't want them to have the same trials and tribulations. So perhaps sometimes we're sterner than perhaps is healthy for them. I know oftentimes, especially after being incarcerated, I know oftentimes you've had to put on this armor. I want us to start taking off that armor. I want us to start looking at how we're being perceived. And if we don't like it, if that perception of us no longer serves us, like for instance, Big Beth from Uptown is like, what happened? What popping? I don't have any emotions and feelings. I'm that bitch. Like, nobody, affects me. I don't care about this one and that one. That's a horrible, horrible person to be. Because if you don't care about anyone, and if you cannot connect with people, then you're alone in the world. So I had to put her down. I had to put Big Beth from Uptown, I had to put her down. Because she was trapping me. I wasn't even able to have real meaningful relationships because I had this perception out there in the world that I was like this party girl who was just like going for hers. And, even Beverly Smith, the fashionista. Again, I told you guys that I was a holy terror at work. So people, again, doubted that I even had feelings and emotions and things like that. That's no way to live. So I had to change the perception of who I was. So now it comes to the best part. How would you like to be perceived? And for me, I'm most proud of the introspective work that I've done and the introspective work that I know each and every single one of you graduates will be doing to change the perception of what the world thinks of you. But more importantly, what you think of yourself. Because see, you're all worthy. You're all worthy of happiness. You're all worthy of grace. You're all worthy of forgiveness. Just because you are God's child, you are worthy of these things. And I had to do the work so that I could become who I've always meant to be, which is a teacher, a guide, a mother, a auntie, a bestie. So it warms my heart when I look at the fact that when I quit my job at 38 years old, which is I guess like 15, 16 years ago, and there was this real perception around me that I was callous and unforgiving and not very loving, not very warm. And I look at my life now, and people do connect with me. And they think of me as a teacher. They think of me as a guide. They think of me as someone who gives good advice, and who can impart lessons. They think of me as a mother, auntie, bestie. So I actually did the work and changed not only people's perception of me, but my own perception of myself. And I began to understand that I was worthy. And now I'm living my most authentic life. So when me and Topeka sit down and we are having a dinner and we're cackling and kikiing and we're being fabulous or what have you, but then we always stop down and we have real heart to heart moments. That's something I couldn't have done when I was Big Beth from Uptown. It would have been all about just being fabulous and we're sexy and we're doing it. That's nothing. That's a shallow, hollow life. It's a shallow, hollow life just to be thought of as the strong black woman, the matriarch who can hold it down. And you take care of everybody. Well, who's taking care of you? But see, we have to let people know that we need care. So if we go through life acting as though we don't need anyone, and we go through life never feeling like we want to ask for help because we don't want to humble ourselves, that's a trap. Because what you put out into the world, that's what you'll get back. So I'm asking all of you amazing graduates to do this work. When you have a moment to yourselves, write down, remember who you are at your core. Remember, who you are at your core has nothing to do with your former experiences in prison, has nothing to do with, what you went through as a child. It has nothing to do with your career, it has nothing to do with your kids, it has nothing to do with your partner, and it has everything to do with you. That little girl you were before the world got to you. And then I want you to think about how you're being perceived. And if you have a bunch of people that you love and respect that are saying the same things over and over that you don't particularly enjoy, or you find that it doesn't serve you anymore, like I just have to come back to the time of the strong black woman trope. That does not serve us. Because all that means is that then we're in service to everyone else. And who's there to help us? So we have to find a way to shift that perception. And we have to understand, most importantly, that we are worthy of the love. We're worthy of the grace. We're worthy of the forgiveness. And once we get that into our minds, and once we really tap into that, then we can see a real change, a real shift in our lives. And then that's when we can start living a life with vision. But congratulations to all of you ladies who are graduating today. I cannot wait to see what you go out into the world and create. Because you're all creatives, you know? Again, who were you when you were a little girl? Did you like to skate? Did you like to draw? Did you love being outside? Who were you before the world got to you? I want you to tap into that as you go into the world with your new graduate status. See the world with new eyes. Tap into that little girl who went away so long ago. Bring her back to the forefront and reintroduce her to the world. I love you all. I'm so very happy for you all. I'm very proud of you. And I pray that your next chapter becomes your most magnificent one. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. I'm so honored to be here. I just wanted to start out by giving glory and honor to the Savior Jesus Christ because he makes the impossible impossible. And that is why I'm standing here today. I'm a job developer, mentor, who helps millions of daughters coming out of difficult situations and help them find viable solutions to life challenges while using business skills to enhance confidence. And family starts alongside medicine I now train for young women in utilizing the tools of a certified life coach and a certified CPT and regulatory degrees in youth ministry is my real passion. I love writing, advocacy, and working with young children. I also love telling my stories, not always a beautiful story, but it's my story. I'm beyond excited that I'm going to and filled with gratitude for this space, especially for the encouragement and the vision. They can give me the words that I need to say. I'm thankful for all of you from the heart of women and on the world. When my situation first started, I was a single mom with kids. I had no idea that she was one group of infected on first and how much fire and incarcerated people without any motivation. I was confident that all of myself and feeling possible by how
Hi, and thank you so much for being here with us today. My name is Gabrielle Perry, and I'm a 28-year-old epidemiologist with a specialty in infectious diseases, an alumna of Tulane University School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine, a writer, and a lifelong Louisiana resident. But before all of that, I'm a formerly incarcerated woman. I was arrested back in 2014. My crime, as roughly 64% of crimes are, was nonviolent and solely about survival against poverty. Yet one day, in East Baton Rouge Parish Prison stole many years of my life. After my arrest, and due to my criminal record, I was homeless. I had to bathe in a bucket in a derelict shotgun house, and I survived solely due to Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank. For a while, I could not find a job because of my charges and was a victim of discriminatory housing and employment practices and sexual harassment. I was ostracized and mocked by my peers and schoolmates in public and on social media and treated as if I was subhuman. Throughout my 20s, I never dated, I never traveled, I never had a boyfriend. I lived purely in survival mode. I never experienced the normal life of a young 20-something. I was not allowed to move on with my life. I was seen as a young girl with no recourse because of my criminal record and treated as disposable. And as a Black woman, I was at an even greater disadvantage because the national unemployment rate for formerly incarcerated Black women is 43.1% nationwide. Yet I persevered. It was my only choice, and there was no one to care about what happened to me. My expungement process was not able to begin until spring 2019, many years after my crime. I tried to facilitate it on my own. There's nothing legally stopping you from doing so, yet the complexities, the months of time, and its $3,000 cost made the process almost insurmountable for many years. With my birth mother being incarcerated via the Texas Bureau of Prisons and forced to give me away to total strangers, the cycle of incarceration, which perpetuates itself so often through generations of Black women, threatened to continue. Her death, due to inadequate medical treatment, only furthered my anger at a system that stood so formidably against me. As for myself, I would not be an epidemiologist if my expungement had not been granted. And money, as well as other systemic factors, should not be the difference between someone's true freedom, especially when their debt to society has been considered paid. But as we all know, poverty can be the thief of dreams and the killer of chance. Or so I thought. As fate would have it today, I'm the founder and executive director of a nonprofit in my deceased father's name that specifically aids formerly incarcerated women and girls across the U.S. to continue their educational endeavors and find the same freedom and upward trajectory that I have. Through my foundation, the Thurman Perry Foundation, we've been involved in a recent statewide policy passage that ensures safe and non-discriminatory housing for formerly incarcerated people in Louisiana, which is 49% of our state's population. We're currently working with other community leaders, national lobbyists, and Louisiana representatives to ensure the passage of clean slate legislation, which will keep formerly incarcerated persons from incurring the exorbitant cost of the criminal record expungement process. And thanks to a newly cemented partnership with the Ladies of Hope Ministries, who share my passion of providing second chances, my nonprofit will be providing tens of thousands of dollars in scholarships to formerly incarcerated women and their daughters nationwide each year. And for myself, further, I have aspirations to attend medical school when the pandemic ends and add clinical credentials to my career as an epidemiologist. Because my second chance saved my life, I get to go save lives too. A 2018 academic research study highlighted American women's per capita incarceration rate being double that of men's for the last 2 decades. Yet the current mass incarceration epidemic is framed primarily as a male issue. That means that 80% of incarcerated women who are mothers are being overlooked. That means that the school to prison pipeline, which disproportionately affects Black and Latina little girls, is not being addressed. That means local, state, and federal funding that could go to establishing job training, education programs, quality housing referrals, mental health programs, family planning services, domestic violence aid, all things that impact or are needed by current or formerly incarcerated women and girls the most, are not being provided. As a nonprofit, the Ladies of Hope Ministries understands that you cannot operate from a place of lack and be expected to succeed. By being given direct funding throughout the cohort year, I was able to participate in the program to become my best self while also meeting my basic needs. By being provided professional tools from titans of industries, I was not only educated on how to better myself professionally, but was treated as an equal, which is so important for formerly incarcerated women reentering society. I was also given a safe space to unearth the trauma to my mental health with women who never once questioned or judged me, which immediately made me think, if convictions have an end date, shouldn't the punishment end too? The first time you tell your story of incarceration is a box you can never unopen. But the Speakers Bureau allowed me to wade into those waters freely and with abandon. As a formerly incarcerated woman, I had to get to this place all alone. As founder and executive director of my own nonprofit, the Thurman Perry Foundation, it's my mission to ensure other formerly incarcerated women don't have to. And as a member of the Faces of Women Imprisoned Speakers Bureau, I am so grateful to the Ladies of Hope Ministries for introducing me to a legion of women to share my voice with, share my fears with, and share my hope with. It's my hope that you will support both this organization and your community at large in creating a more just world for the formerly incarcerated. And for more information about how you can support scholarships for formerly incarcerated women and girls through my nonprofit, the Thurman Perry Foundation, and have your donations go directly to these women and girls, go to www.thurmanperryfoundation.org. Thank you so much for listening to my story. God bless.
All right, show up and show out, Miss Gabby. You guys have been doing so wonderful. Good morning. My name is Dr. Whitney Q. Hollins, and I am an educator, author, advocate, and directly impacted woman. I'm honored to be here and share some of my journey with you today, and I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. And I especially want to thank Miss Bebby for asking that question, who am I? Because I want to share a little bit of who I actually am. So one of the most well-known and most utilized statistics about children of incarcerated parents is that they're 6 times more likely to go to jail than their peers. And some people use these findings for different reasons. Some people take it and they say, okay, we need to really support this population of people because, there's a chance that they're going to end up incarcerated. Other people use it in a way to reinforce notions of Black and brown criminality and just contribute to this deficit-based narrative that people have about certain types of families. I personally use it to highlight the way that research can be used, reused, weaponized, and just sometimes frankly wrong to create and support certain agendas and stories without ever considering the consequences that it has for certain communities. So from a young age, I knew that people thought I was more likely to end up in a jail cell than a college classroom, and I was determined to prove them wrong. As the child of an incarcerated parent, I put myself under a lot of pressure to achieve while simultaneously turning humility into an art form. I would work all the time tirelessly to collect this arsenal of accomplishments that I could use in case anyone decided to look down on me or my family. But I was really too insecure to ever talk about them or to celebrate my accomplishments even. In fact, they weren't intended for joy. They were meant as a defense mechanism. I was fighting a war with society that told me that being Black, poor, and the child of an incarcerated parent meant I was unworthy. And I was convinced that somehow these accolades would put me firmly in the winner's circle. I was so concerned with external validation that I overlooked my inherent worth that I possessed since I was born. Joining the Faces of Women Imprisoned Fellowship and finding my community has been invaluable to my growth and my confidence. It's allowed me to witness the counter narratives of other strong and beautiful women, like you just heard from Gabby and Liliana and everyone else. These are women who are directly impacted by incarceration, but they are not defined by incarceration. You are in the presence of brilliant women who have had a positive impact on their communities and continue to do this work daily. And I'm honored to be among them. I hope you are as well. And even if I wasn't speaking to you here today, even if there was no audience, I would gladly sit with them and just listen to their words and to soak in their tenderness, their wisdom, their intelligence, their righteousness. And because of them, I no longer collect my accomplishments as a defense mechanism. Instead, I work and I walk. I walk with purpose and I walk with light. And when I shine, I'm not afraid to share it because I know that I shine not only for me, but for my community. And in turn, they shine for me as well. Because of the confidence I've gained through FACES program and the women present here today, I can proudly tell you that I am a directly impacted woman, but I am also a doctor. I completed my PhD in 2018, and I wrote a dissertation that highlighted the voices of children with incarcerated parents and their lived experience. It was accepted by my committee without revisions, one of only 12 the program had ever had. And in 2019, I was selected by my school to be a part of the dissertation showcase. I ended the program, and that was a wonderful experience for me. I'm also an author. I self-published a children's book titled Honest Test that features a young girl with an incarcerated parent. And at one point, I took the book to someone who was in publishing, and they said, "Oh, it seems kind of anticlimactic, right? Like nothing really happens." And I understood at first that maybe I need to add something to it. Maybe it's not right. And then as I thought and sat about their words, I realized they wanted me to add trauma. They wanted the girl in the story who had an incarcerated parent to be devastated or to go through all of these challenges. And I just wanted to present her as a child, as someone who has an incarcerated parent, but also has friends and interests. And so I self-published that book with an illustrator who was directly impacted also. And I'm proud to say that it has been used for an author series at the Queens Public Library, and it's also been featured in lots of classrooms all over the country. I also recently completed my first adult book. It's being published by Routledge. It's a focus book. It's called Supporting Children of Incarcerated Parents in Schools, and is currently available for pre-order and will be published in late 2021. So I'm really excited about that as well. In addition, I'm an educator. I've worked with children for over a decade. I love creating materials when I see a gap. I noticed that in schools, children of incarcerated parents are often overlooked, and I collaborated with another directly impacted individual to create a curriculum titled Joining Forces that teachers can use during school time to support children with incarcerated parents in schools. I'm also an advocate. I've worked with numerous organizations in the New York City area, including We Got Us Now, Speak Your Truth, the Osborne Association, and Our Children. Because of this, I received a proclamation and citation from the New York Assembly for my work that focused on reforming the criminal justice system. I'm also a wonderful daughter, sister, aunt, mother, mentor, and hopefully now I'm part of this wonderful community, so we're all sisters. So I'm all of these things, and I'm so much more. I couldn't fit everything in. They gave me a time limit, but I'm not the exception. There are so many other directly impacted people who are brimming with talent, promise, intelligence, and drive. In the future, I plan to continue my advocacy work while attending law school. I like to gain multiple perspectives on things, and I feel like one way of reforming the criminal justice system would to really figure out how it works. So that's something that I want to do. And just to end, I would implore you to support organizations like the Lady of Hope Ministries, who encourage people like me to walk in their purpose, to walk in their light, and to shine so that everyone could see. So thank you for listening, and it was great being here.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for this very special graduation. I want to sincerely thank Topeka, Trish, Kate, and the staff of the Ladies of Hope Ministries. Thanks to our sponsors, allies, and partners who are here with us today. That you have taken time out of your day to join us speaks volumes about your belief in the Ladies of Hope and also in me. I also want to thank my fellow cohort members. No, my new friends, my sisters. We did this. Several years ago, I coined a phrase that I have trotted out many times, but it is particularly relevant today. Prison is what I went through. It is not who I am. I have several distinctions that I'm proud of. And let's be honest, also a few I'm a little less proud of. But overwhelmingly, I am proud that today I am standing with my sisters ready to embark on this next new chapter in my life. Someone once said that in life, there are no regrets, only lessons. If that were true, I clearly should have a PhD. I had the opportunity to come home from prison and put the entire experience behind me, resume my life as a soccer mom, and never speak of the experience again. But that was not me. I've always been the scrappy one, the fighter for right, the one who stood up for others, the great debater, the arguer. When I came home, I was committed to changing the system, and I have. In this space, I am referred to as an OG. I've been in this movement before there was even a movement, and certainly long before women were part of the movement. I have accomplished a lot, yet there is more to come. This past year, COVID came in like a wrecking ball. We were all forced to pivot, to do things differently. We became experts in Zoom. We all became tolerant when those Zoom meetings were photobombed by dogs and children and spouses, but pivot we did. And the Faces of Women Imprisoned program pivoted with us. Not missing a beat, we rose to the challenge of virtual trainings. We came together, we shared, we laughed, we learned, we grew. We are all better for our time together. This program has had a lasting impact on each of us. Isolated because of COVID, I nonetheless have been able to find a group of women who both challenge and inspire me. Women who have reached out to me for help, for counsel, for support. And women I have been able to reach out to. This program has opened amazing pathways and opportunities for collaboration and certainly for sisterhood. I am proud of what we've been able to accomplish in this program and equally proud of the accomplishments of my sisters. I get asked frequently about putting my prison experience behind me. It is not behind me. Prison changes us in profound ways, on the cellular level, and in small, sometimes almost indistinguishable ways. I went to prison. It is not who I am. I went to prison, but it is why I do what I do. I always say that at 2 a.m. I am the most dangerous woman in the world because I'm constantly creating work, new campaigns, new strategies. Currently, I wear a lot of hats, an almost exhausting amount. I lead and represent several organizations in this reform space, tackling issues such as abolishing solitary confinement, women in mass incarceration, parole and probation reforms, voting rights restoration for formerly incarcerated, higher education in prison, and reproductive justice, dignity, and access for incarcerated women and girls. I have the distinction of being the only formerly incarcerated woman in Maryland who has written policy that's gotten passed into law at all levels in my state. several of which have become first in the nation pieces of legislation. Each day, I do what I do because of what I experienced, what I saw, and what I continue to be made aware of. Each day when I wake up and each night when I lay my head on the pillow, I never forget those that I left behind the fence, and I do not ignore those that are coming into the system. Each day I use my voice, my lived experiences, and my skill set to bring about legislative and policy changes. And each day I work with women to be leaders and change agents in their own communities, to find and flex their power, to change perceptions, narratives, and lives. Now, PTSD aside for just a moment, my prison experience has also been an asset. It has and continues to make me think in original, out of the box, and really unconventional ways. I want to share a piece of advice from Shonda Rhimes that I actually have posted on my bathroom mirror. She said, always look around the table and invite the voices that are not heard. And if you are the one who can offer an unheard perspective, something that can move our shared humanity forward, have the courage to speak up even when it feels difficult. Real progress requires moments of tension. If we approach these moments with generosity and curiosity rather than resistance and blame, we can find entirely new ways forward. This program has provided me with an unparalleled opportunity to hone what I do, expand my network, grow my knowledge base, and see new opportunities. I am growing and speaking my training business. I'm becoming a brand. Who would have saw that coming? And I know, and I believe in my soul that the best is yet to come. I look forward to this next part of my journey, to maintaining my connections with my new sisters, with the Ladies of Hope team, their supporters and partners. I offer all that I have, all that I know, as you too work to challenge, change, disrupt, and dismantle the systems of oppression. Thank you, my friend Topeka, for making this opportunity available to me. I am grateful for this past year and for everything that has been made graciously and generously available to me. I thank you again for joining us today, for your time, for your investment, and for your belief in my cohort and in me. Thank you very much.
Greetings, and thank you for joining the 2021 graduates as we celebrate this accomplishment. I'm Dr. Zaria Davis. It's a pleasure to be with you all here today. And I just want to first personally thank everyone who invested in this cohort and the Ladies of Hope Ministries. The women in this space are dynamic leaders and speakers, and I'm really moved by what I've already heard today. For me, in 2013, it started out as a promising year for me with the new business and new opportunities. But by 2014, my life was forever changed. 3 significant things happened that year in my life. It started with the sudden loss of my mother, followed by being charged by the federal government, and then lastly, defending my dissertation. It was an example of how life is full of mountains and valleys. It took so much for me emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Being removed, not only from my community in 2016, but also from my child who I was raising by myself. Learning while I was incarcerated that my father, who I had left to be the caregiver of my middle schooler, was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, coupled with the loss of my license to practice social work and the loss of all my physical possessions, served as a motivation for me while I was incarcerated. God truly placed a few things on my heart, and I'm on that journey currently to accomplish all of those goals, which I'll later share. It's been by grace and favor that I'm here to speak with you all this afternoon. Here we are, 4.5 years later, since I've returned home from federal prison. My daughter has graduated high school and will be attending college in New York this school year. My dad has unfortunately since passed away, and I'm continuing to live in my reentry journey. I knew that when I came home, I was to use my voice as a catalyst for change, to open doors for women impacted by the system. As someone who had a professional mental health background for over 20 years, I witnessed and personally experienced the trauma and dehumanization connected to mass incarceration. I suffered emotional pain and loss during that time. I was blessed, though, to have people who believed in me and opened up opportunities despite my record when I returned home. And I realized that many people don't have that. I have since served as an executive director and moved into advocacy spaces, now starting a nonprofit, as well as currently working as a facilitator and consultant with my for-profit New Direction. I'm a member of various local and national organizations who look at who I am as a leader and not my background. I'm currently attending seminary for my master's in divinity. I truly believe in healing and restoration for ourselves, for our families and communities. Upon graduating with my master's of divinity, I want to continue to contribute my gifts and my knowledge in service to others. I launched Filling the Gap, a nonprofit in Ohio to assist women incarcerated and formerly incarcerated, covering 3 areas. One, access to higher education. The other is around healing and the reentry journey, and then advocacy for women. My motivation comes from my lived experience as I lived with over 1,000 other women with various backgrounds and oftentimes similar backgrounds and experiences to myself, many of whom had to leave children behind with family or even worse, to the social service system. As a former therapist, I understand the importance of addressing trauma associated with incarceration. I joined the Faces program because as a formerly incarcerated leader, I really wanted to elevate my voice within numerous platforms. I was excited about the opportunity to challenge myself in all aspects of my life, the opportunity to learn new skills and expand my public speaking while connecting with other amazing women who have had lived experiences. That was all important to me. I believe that women impacted by the system need support and resources and sadly don't oftentimes receive them. This program, however, not only provided the supports, but also gave a space for our voices to truly be elevated on this journey for justice. I've had an amazing opportunity to build with these dynamic women and to expand my network. The program provided a variety of topics, some I expected and others I didn't, but all were helpful on my journey as a coach, consultant, and facilitator. I want to take the skills learned in this program and apply them to all aspects of my life. I love public speaking and facilitation and plan to utilize the resources to build out more opportunities. My future plan is to grow my consulting business into a firm for formerly incarcerated consultants and to develop more formerly incarcerated leaders through working with individual nonprofits and businesses. There are amazing people who have been in prison and are living with convictions. It is important for me to continue to be a voice and provide opportunities for others to be heard in the fight for freedom for all and to remove barriers for those of us who are living with lifetime punishment. I'm grateful for every interaction and each new relationship formed in this program. I look forward to seeing what's birthed from this amazing cohort. And for me personally, I have a few tasks over the next few years that I need my Faces sisters as well as you all to hold me accountable for. So one is to build out my coaching and consulting business to invest in more system impacted leaders. 2, to be financially healthy through the removal of barriers and such as elimination of my student loans, restitution, so that I may be in a position financially to not only cover the cost of my child's education, but to be able to invest in other people who want to seek higher education. 3, to continue to invest in women and for myself, especially women of the global majority, so that their voices may be empowered through my nonprofit and other partnerships. 4, to have my social work license reinstated because I recognize a need as far as within the impacted community to address the harms and the traumas that people have experienced. 5, to continue all fight to confront the barriers that I face personally, socially, and professionally in the form of discriminatory rules and practices targeted at people with felony convictions. And then finally, my goal, and I've been inspired by Topeka, is to apply for my freedom through the pardon process. I believe that I will leave this earth as a legally free woman, and I am so inspired by Topeka and so many others in this network to take on that fight for freedom, not just for myself, but for other women that have gone through this process. So I challenge all of those who are attending today to take time outside of this event to get to know us and to connect with us on our journeys. Thank you for this opportunity to be a part of this beautiful and brave group. Thank you, Topeka and Ladies of Hope Ministry, for investing in women and investing in me specifically. I look forward to supporting future cohorts and the organization. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, and well, congratulations, graduates. I'm actually taking some deep breaths because I feel just really moved and touched by all of these stories. This is such a powerful day for all of you and for your families and for the criminal justice reform movements and women's movements that we're all a part of. I wanted to say just a few brief words about why our foundation, which is an international foundation focused entirely on women, would choose to support Faces of Women Imprisoned from the very beginning, actually, more than 3 years ago. And I think maybe a few of the things I'm going to say have already been said, but I think it's important to hear a funder say this because sometimes it's those of us in the philanthropy community that are actually the slowest to wake up and change. And we have a power to be incredibly good, and we also have the power to, take a long time to change and to get with the program. So, right around the time we met Ladies of Hope Ministries, we were really realizing that our work needed to pivot. We realized that our work shouldn't be about helping women to fit into a society that hasn't always been supportive of us, but rather, while each one of us is certainly on our own healing and learning and discovery journey, the bigger question is how do each of us use our power to support society to change so that society can become more inclusive of all of us and uplift our creativity. So how do we change society? That can feel incredibly overwhelming. But it really all starts with the simplest thing, which is telling stories. So we as human beings are hardwired to listen to stories, right? As if you remember being a child, how did you learn? You learned through stories. And sometimes there's stories that you read with somebody at night before bed, or sometimes there are stories that you listened to or songs that you sang in school. We learned everything as a child through stories. And I don't think it's a coincidence that every major religious text teaches its wisdom through a combination of stories and songs and poetry. When we hear stories, we feel closer and more intimate with people and issues that were previously maybe unfamiliar to us. When it comes to women and girls impacted by the criminal justice system, the stories are just not there. Or worse, they're there, but they're really inaccurate and reinforcing harmful stereotypes. So I really believe that the most important thing that we all can do as part of this movement to reform the criminal justice system is to change the storybook. And that can only be done by women who have direct experience of the criminal justice system. So that's what Faces of Women Imprisoned is all about, and that's why it's so important. It's not important just to those of us who are Americans, but also for global audiences who care about human rights. Each time each one of you has the courage to tell your story, you've changed our society, and you've taken action for human rights and helped to make our country to become more just and more kind. I do recognize that there are graduates with us today who prefer not to tell their story today. And there is tremendous power in that too. I think many of the graduates today have said this, but telling your story is a choice that you make, and it's an act of profound generosity. The most important thing you can do is to take control of your own story for yourself, above all, and then you decide when and if to tell it. If that story just exists for you as part of your own healing process, that's power. If it exists for just your children and your loved ones, that's also power. You're the one who decides. So Fondation Chanel is just honored to be a supporter of Faces of Women Imprisoned and of Ladies of Hope Ministries more broadly. It's one of our most treasured partnerships among hundreds. We see all of this work as systems change work and human rights work, and it's absolutely central to gender equality and racial justice movements. So huge congratulations to all the graduates today. Congratulations to Trish and to Topeka and to the whole team at Ladies of Hope Ministries. I want all of you to know that you have so many supporters behind you. We have a whole team in the US and in London and in Paris just cheering for you right now, and just wishing you the very best as you emerge from your journey, this learning journey, and decide how to use your story to create change in the world. So thank you, and again, bravo.
Thank you for listening and hearing the voices of these powerful women who have the courage and strength to share their stories with the world in hopes of deepening and broadening the conversation about the impact of incarceration. I am Starling Thomas, a writer and director and the digital communications manager for the Ladies of Hope Ministries. I am also a graduate of the inaugural Faces of Women Imprisoned 2020 cohort. This is a full circle moment for me, and I am grateful for the opportunities that have been paved by other impacted women like Topeka K. Sam, who has given us a platform for our stories to be told from our perspective. And now I have the opportunity to not only elevate my story, but uplift the stories of other women impacted by the criminal legal system. This program is not only empowering, but also a step in the journey of healing. We often delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely do we admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. To the women, the graduates today, who are bringing truth and power to the stories that often cause so much pain, congratulations, you have done the work. We are no longer victims, we are warriors. And even though we carry scars and wounds that no one else can see, we know the power that we have that resonates deep within us. I want to encourage you today to keep pushing, keep striving, keep persevering and overcoming every obstacle that comes your way. The work is not easy as we try to heal and mend and bring our lives and families back together. I'll end with this. It's a quote from the late, great activist, poet, writer, and so much more, Maya Angelou. She says, "You may not control all of the events that happen to you, but you can decide to not be reduced by them. So continue to fly, butterflies, and let the motion of your wings be the catalyst that causes chaos and complex systems designed for us to fail." Thank you.